Hello, this is Yang for the Game Haus, and we're here with Conrad, part of 11-Bit Studios, and we're here to talk about Children of Morta, a roguelike game that kind of focuses more on story based around a family protecting a mountain called Morta. So let's kind of start right there. Obviously, for traditional roguelikes, it's kind of hard for there to be a lot of story. Usually for games like Binding of Isaac, where kind of enter the gungeon, the story is just more the reason why the game is starting. So for you guys, why did you decide to go with a more kind of story-driven roguelike, and kind of what were some of the issues around creating that?
Okay, so the game is developed by Deathmatch Studios, and they want to keep the roguelikes, things you have in roguelikes like a high replayability, but also they want to tell a complex story about the family of heroes that are guarding the Mount Morta. And, that was a bit of a challenge because you have to have a main narrative of the game that is shown in cutscenes, basically, that you encounter between the dungeons visits. And there are some also additional story beats that are randomized, and you can see them in the dungeons. And we as the publisher approach the game and take it to our publishing portfolio because we think that the family theme is something that is unique in the genre. And like I said previously, that the family theme is tied with the story, which also is tied with the gameplay, because every family member is basically a different class of the characters, so they are not a randomized group of adventurers. So like you said, the roguelikes, the strong story isn't as common as roguelikes, and I think the Children of Morta is not a proper roguelike because we call it more a roguelite game, because you don't lose your experience and you don't lose your skill points and your loot once you've died. And in terms of story purpose, we cannot kill any character, so the characters, there is no permadeath in the game. So yeah, to sum it up, the developer want to keep all the things that are good in the roguelike games and add a complex story to it. So we think that they've managed to do it.
Yeah, so just to kind of touch more on the kind of family in the game, as you kind of mentioned, they're all kind of unique in their own sense, and just what were some of the kind of inspirations behind the creation of the characters, whether it's just kind of taking inspirations from characters from other games or just kind of general kind of attitudes that you got from other characters?
Yeah, they've tried to do something like that. They took the classes basically from the RPG games, like a warrior or a person with a bow or a mage, and they tried to tie them to the characteristics of the heroes. So for example, we have a father of the family, John. He's a guy who would do everything to protect his loved ones, so he have to be strong, so they gave him a shield and a bow and make him a little bit slower than the other characters, so he's a strong tank type. We have his daughter that operates the bow, and she's a ranged character, and we have a younger daughter, so she's a younger one. She bursts with the energy, so she's a fire mage. And you have a guy named Kevin, that's his son, and he's a not brave type, so he uses a lot of stealth. So you can see there's a pattern in there, so making the characteristic of the characters met the RPG classes of the normal RPG games. So that's another layer of the family theme behind the game, in the game.
Kind of shifting gears a bit and talking more about the gameplay, obviously an important part about roguelikes and roguelites themselves are kind of the speedrunning community. And often you kind of see with these games, there's either items or some sort of mechanic that kind of helps these speedrunners out, kind of make their playtime a bit faster. So just kind of with the creation of this game, did you guys kind of have that in mind? And if so, kind of what were some of the aspects of the games that you kind of changed a bit, just so the speedrunners kind of have something to play around with on top of the game itself?
Yeah, to be honest, we weren't particularly thinking about speedrunning when we made the game, but of course you can get better at it and try the different approaches, because every character is a little bit different. For the playstyles are different for them, so you can try the different parts. So some characters work better with another one with the team than the other ones. So of course we think that some people will try to speedrun the game, and I could tell you that the people that finish it a few times during the focus test, some of them managed to finish it in 12 hours and some managed to finish in 6. So, but there aren't any practical things that could to help speedrunners in the game. So like I said, we weren't thinking really about the speedrunning while developing it.
One other kind of issues with these types of games and the genre on its own is that sometimes kind of the barrier for entry for the game itself is kind of steep, just because of the general difficulty around the kind of just being thrown into the game, starting at a very basic level with basic weapons and whatnot. So did you guys try to kind of do anything with the game just to make it easier for players who are new to the genre with just kind of getting into the game?
Yeah, we want it to be not so hard, so it's not like a Sekiro or Dark Souls, but we do something like that. When you use match of one character, also you receive, you can develop all the characters because all of them have an individual skill trees. But while you develop one character, also you receive some benefits that apply to all the family members, so like a higher armor rate or higher chance for a critical hit. So once you've played, use, for example, John character a lot, and when you unlock other characters, because they are unlocked throughout the story, so the characters you unlock, they don't have a 0 level basically, so they are a little better than, so you can, don't afraid that you have a character on level 20, and when you use the character on level 5, it won't be as good as it's supposed to be at the point of the game. So basically that's kind of a thing to go easier with the game. So the game, you, like I said, you don't lose your loot, you don't lose your experience when you die. So it's not as hard as a proper roguelike, but we don't want it to be too easy also. So the game has its difficulty spikes. So yeah, but playing in co-op helps a lot.
Kind of, since you kind of talked about the characters again, just kind of personally, I'm sure you've played through the game a bit yourself. Just kind of, which out of the characters, which ones did you kind of stand out for you personally as one that you think players will really enjoy, just kind of based on how they act or just kind of how they play in general?
Yeah, I like more agile characters, more faster ones. So I'm good with the Kevin. He's like I said, a younger son of the John. So he used daggers, he can be invisible for a few seconds, so the enemies won't see him. And he's then have an ability, because every hero has an ability to dash, but for example, John can dash only once at a time, and Kevin can dash 3 times in a row. So like I said, he's more agile and more speedy, and I really enjoyed this one.
And then just to kind of finish up this interview, right now the game's already kind of in a really good spot, has a really good story, great characters and whatnot, but just kind of in terms of future content, are there any plans there, whether it's kind of online co-op or just kind of additional story to add on later on through DLC? Is there any plans like that in the future?
Yeah, for now we have a local co-op play, so yep, the online co-op is a thing that will definitely come to the game after the launch. But we didn't think really about the DLCs and stuff like that. I think we would love to do something about it, but you know, right now we are focusing on the launch, and the game is coming to September 3rd to Steam, and then consoles on October 15, and then we'll think, you know, we have maybe a short vacation, and we'll think about the additional content for next year maybe.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.